Hey everyone, my name is Julia. I am the family lifestyle blogger and influencer at the Quiet Grove, and today I'm going to share with you one of my family's favorite recipes. It's a really easy recipe to make and very delicious. It's a pasta dish called Mostaccioli. We learned this recipe several years ago when I was a kid from my uncle. He insisted that it was a man's recipe so that my dad and brothers would have something to wow their wives and families. But I wanted to know how to make it too, so I kind of paid attention, and I'm going to share the secret with you. So let's get started. Okay, so the dish we're making today is called Mostaccioli. It is a pasta dish that uses pork in it, and pasta sauce and cheese, and basically you're going to cook the meat and cook the noodles, and then you're going to add all of them together with the pasta sauce and cover it with cheese, and then bake it in the oven just long enough to melt the cheese over all of it. So it's a super simple dish, and let's get started with it. So the first thing we gotta do is we've got a large pot that I've already filled about 2/3 of the way with water. I'm gonna add just a little bit of olive oil. This kind of keeps the noodles from sticking as they cook. And then I'm also going to add some salt to it. I always do that when I cook the noodles in. It adds a little flavor and it cooks better. So I'm going to start boiling the water, and when the water is boiling, I'm going to add in penne noodles. Mostaccioli and penne noodles are very similar. These are just easier to find in the store. They're fun little tube-shaped noodles. So I'm going to start cooking these, and at the same time, I'm going to start cooking up my ground porks. This is just regular ground pork that you can buy at the store. If your family prefers, you could get medium or mild or Italian if you like a little bit more spicy. So this is just original regular ground pork that we are going to cook up on my stove, and then we'll move to the next stage. Okay, I moved the pot to the front coil just because the back one just wasn't heating up properly. So I'm still heating up the water, bringing it to a boil, and then I'm going to add in the pasta. But in the meantime, I am cooking up the pork sausage, just making sure I break up the sausage as I go, because you're going to want it into smaller little pieces that you're going to mix through all the noodles. And once it is cooked and any excess oil is drained from it, grease, then what we're going to do is we're going to add in the pasta sauce and a little bit of the mozzarella cheese and let it cook down. And then we're going to mix all of that together with the strained noodles, and then put the rest of the cheese on the top. So just cooking down the ground pork right now. All right, so we're going to set it for 350. I'm going to get that starting to preheat, and so that way when the noodles and ground pork are cooked and ready, that we're able to stick them in the oven and bake it just long enough to melt all the cheese on it. All right, so the water's come to a boil. We're going to add in our penne noodles, and it takes about 10 minutes-ish to get them to the right soft cooked consistency. So we're going to kind of stir that up. Again, adding a little bit of oil and salt to that will help that so the noodles won't stick. We've already finished cooking the pork, as you can see, and I've drained out the excess grease. So while the noodles are cooking, we're now going to add in the pasta sauce onto the pork, and then a little bit of the cheese, and then we're just going to let that kind of cook down into the mixture so that it's all ready to mix in with the noodles after they're cooked and strained. So adding in our sauce and just a little bit of the cheese. We're just going to stir that up just a little bit, just kind of mix it all in, and then we're just going to let that kind of cook down and simmer while the noodles are cooking. So we're going to put the lid on, turn the heat down just a bit, and we're just going to let that sit while we watch the noodles. Make sure you stir it occasionally, scraping the bottom to make sure that the noodles don't stick to the bottom of the pot. So just kind of stir it, let it cook, stir it again, just make sure that all the noodles are moving and that they're not just burning to the bottom of the pot as they're cooking, and then we'll go to the next stage. Alright, so we've gotten the noodles cooked. They're that perfect consistency. They're soft, but they're still firm. I'm going to go and drain that, and then we've already let the spaghetti sauce along with some cheese melt down with the ground pork. So after I strain out the noodles, then we're going to mix all of them together and pour them into the baking dish. Alright, so we strained out the noodles. We're going to take the pork mixture and we're going to mix that in. We're going to make sure everything is coated, and so you can see fully mixed up, and then we're going to pour this into the baking dish. So get that all poured in. And then the last step, after we get it all spread out, is we're just going to take the rest of the cheese and we're going to put a covering over the whole top. And this is just mozzarella cheese. And I like it all cheesy and melty. That's my favorite part. Some of my kids prefer without the cheese, so we just serve up those who have the cheese first, and then there's always plenty that has less cheese option on there. So I like to have it nice and thick. And then we will stick it. That looks good. We're going to stick it in the oven, and we're just going to cook it for a few minutes till the cheese is all melted down. Alright, so I've cooked it for just about 5 minutes, just long enough for the cheese to melt. And it's ready to come out of the oven. This is Mostaccioli. Does not look amazing? So, very simple dish, very quick and easy to make. It is so delicious. Just look at that nice, yummy cheese. Let me grab a little fork and try this out. Okay, y'all. Moment of truth. Such a great dish. If you're looking for a fun, simple dish your whole family will love, even your kids, you've got to try Mostaccioli. If you found this recipe tutorial helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and come back for more tips, inspiration, and more from my neck of the woods. And I will have the recipe for this on my blog if you want the written recipe, and I'll link that in the description below.